Hello, welcome to Microservice Spring Boot tutorial series. So this is third episode. In this video, we will guide you through creating your very first Spring Boot 3 application. To start, we will use Spring Initializr. It is a web-based tool. It is very easy to create Spring Boot application. So we need to go to the Spring Initializr first and download your Spring Boot application. Then we need to import into IntelliJ IDE. Then we'll create the controller. Then we'll run Spring Boot application and we test this application. We'll see all these steps. So we need to go to start.spring.io to create Spring Boot application. And if you see here, this is a Spring Initializr. This is the recommended way to create Spring application, and there are other ways also. In the further videos, we'll discuss other ways. Okay, so here I'm selecting Maven as a build tool, and I'm selecting the Java, and here I'm selecting the Spring Boot version is 3.3, and here we need to define group ID for that application. So for example, here I'm giving product, and artifact name we need to give product only. So this is the artifact name will come at the time of generating jar. It will show that name. Okay, so here packaging I'm using jar, and here I'm using the 17 only. So this is the demo project for Spring Boot application it is showing. Okay, so these are the fields we need to fill as per your project. We need to define group id and artifact id and its name. Okay, so after that we need to add dependencies for that. So there are few dependencies mandatory. One is for Spring Web, and another one I'm adding like Lombok. Anyway, this is first application, right? We'll add only the Spring Web only, and we'll see how it will work. Okay, so once it is done, we need to click on the generate. It will generate the zip file. Still it is downloading. It is not yet completed. We'll go to the downloads. Now it is completed. See, it is downloaded as a product. Okay, and we need to extract this zip file first. So this is my project. Now we need to import. If you see, second step is we need to import project into IDE. Okay, so just right click on this, click on show more option, click on the IntelliJ IDE. So like this we need to import Spring Boot project into IntelliJ IDE. Can close this. So still it is loading all the dependencies. So in the previous session, at the time of discussing Spring Boot introduction, we discussed auto configuration and built-in embedded servers. So where we can see all these things. Okay, we'll see. So this is Spring Boot project, and now we'll explore this project structure. So if you see src, this src folder having two folders. One is for main, one is for text. So in the main, again we have two, Java and resources. So in this Java, we'll have all the .java files, and the resources we can keep application.properties file or application.ml file, and in the text folder it will create all the JUnit test cases related files you need to keep in this text folder. Okay, and another main file is pom.xml file. So this is the heart of this Spring Boot application. So if you want to deal with any plugins, we need to add those plugin configuration into form.xml file. For example, you want to work with JPA, and we need to add the JPA dependency in the form.xml file, or if we want to integrate with MySQL database, then also we need to add the dependencies into the form.xml file. So how to add those dependencies, we'll see in the later coming sessions. Okay, so in this session, we'll see the basic structure how it is created. So by default it will come one file, that is product application. Okay, and while creating the application, and we are given some properties here. If you see com.product, all these things, right? Those things we are able to see in the prom.xml file. If you see, so group id is com.product, artifact id is product, means our application name will come like product 0.0.1 hyphen snapshot dot jar. It will create once you build this. Okay, so this main starter dependency is Spring Boot starter parent. If you go inside the Spring Boot starter parent, and there are other dependencies as well. See, these are all the dependencies. So we discussed auto configuration, right? So all these dependencies, it will come at the time of creating the Spring Boot application. It will automatically download those dependencies jar files. If you see the external jars, all these are all related to dependency jars. Okay, so if you search for Tomcat, so this is the Tomcat. This is the version it is using. It is coming like a built-in embedded server, and all theme leaf also there. SQLite JDBC version is there, and the GraphQL is there. There are so many things. Spring Data Worm is there. Spring Batch are there. So there are so many things are available. Means it will come by default. Okay, so you can go with this one. You can just explore these packages, whatever it is contain. Okay, and so our Spring Boot application flow, how it execution will start. So execution will start from this file, this product application, and it is having the main configuration annotation. So our application execution will start from this main product application. It is having one annotation. If you see Spring Boot application, this is the root annotation. Okay, so these annotation, again it is contain three annotation. Component scan, enable auto configuration, Spring Boot configuration. So component scan, what it will do, it will scan all the files whatever it will come into the package in this structure. All the under the Java folder, whatever the packages, whatever the classes it will come, it will automatically scan at the time of compilation only. And enable auto configuration, it will work for auto configuration purpose. If you want to do the configuration for any properties file also, it will work. Okay, so these are the three annotations is required. Okay, so this is one interview questions. What annotation Spring Boot application will contains? Okay, so it is contain three annotation: component scan, configuration, Spring Boot configuration. These are the three annotations. From here our Spring Boot application execution will start. Okay, now what we need to do, now we'll create one controller class for this one. So for that one, we can come to that product package, right click, and we'll create first package for that one. What is the package we need to give? Controller. So our controller should be inside controller class. So because in the Spring Boot application there are multiple packages, means while creating the Spring Boot application we need to differentiate which file where you need to create, because this is basic structure. We don't have all these files and folders, so we need to one by one create based on our project requirements. Okay, in this controller class we need to create the controllers. So I'm using, this is the product, right? So I'll use product controller. Okay, so this is the product controller dot java. So to make this application as a RESTable web services, we need to use root annotation as annotation rest. We can use annotation request mapping also. For example, this is the API related to product service. So API slash product. Now we'll define one get method to test this application. So public string say hello. Okay, so here we'll return one string. Welcome to Spring Boot 3 application. So this is the string I am returning. To make this one as a API, we need to use annotation get mapping, and here I'll use greeting. So now our controller class is ready. To call this controller class, we need to form the URL. For that, what we need to do? Anyway, we need to deploy this one in our local service only. So for that local default port is 8080. So any Spring Boot application by default it will start from 8080. So for that one, http colon localhost 8080. After that, we need to specify request controller mapping slash API. Then we need to specify the request mapping. This is the REST controller one in first one. Second is the request mapping, and third one is the this one greeting. So like this, it will identify which method we need to call at the time of API invocation. So for this API now, this is the URI for that. Okay. So we'll test this API. So to test this one, first we need to deploy this application into Tomcat server. Okay. So in my system already port 8080 is running other services, and also if you want to change port number, then we need to mention that port number here, like a server dot port. I am changing the port number into 9090. So default it will run 8080. Now I am changing to 9090. Okay, so with this we are done with creating the controller class. If you observe this structure, so product inside the controller we have the controller class. Okay, now we'll start this application. For that one, what we need to do, you can come to the main class. This is the main class, and in the id level there is a two option. You can use these options. Else here also there is a one more option. You can run this application. Now I am using this one. Click on and choose the run product application, and here is the run option. You can click this run. It will open the console. So it's starting this application. So if you see this log, Stampcat started port number 9090 HTTP. Okay, so it is started from 9090. So we'll test this API now. So already we are written that mapping that URI, right? So this one you can just copy and come to the browser and click on new tab, paste this API and hit this. So why it is coming? I am using 8080, so that is the reason it is coming like this. So usually our port is changed. Our port is 9090. Now you can copy this and come here, paste this same URL one more time and click on enter. Now we see white label error. White label error coming from the Spring Boot application only. If you are getting this white label error means it is working fine only. But what is the issue? If you see, we need to specify the argument inside annotation request mapping forward slash API slash product. So like this we need to specify. So our this is the correct one. So we need to restart. We need to click this one. It will automatically restart this. So now go to the browser and we'll test this API. So now if you see, we are getting the response. Okay, so like this we need to test our API. but this is not a recommended way. We are using only for get. So right now our API also only get API for the, that is the reason I am testing from the Chrome directly. So instead of that, we need to test this API from the Postman. Actually, we need to do from the Postman. Thank you for watching. If you feel this content is helpful for you, please give thumbs up and subscribe to my channel.